OnePlus 8 Pro, probably one of the most interesting phones of this company in years. Now it's fully flagship, spec and price-wise. Actually, it's so good that almost made me switch from my iPhone 11 Pro to this phone. Almost. Let us hear a tale about an amazing phone with a few quite critical flaws. The body. Phone is a real giant. In Russia, we call these types of phones a shovel because of how ridiculously big they look in your hand. But of course, this screen is good for content consuming, especially movies. They look godlike on this thing. No more sliding front-facing camera. Now it's just a cutout in the screen. Not so good for a full screen experience, but really good for waterproofing, which is now official, and for reliability overall. Waterfall display is a real gimmick here. I don't like these edges. I don't like seeing them. I don't like using them. If you're holding this phone without a case, the edges will literally dig in your hand, and that's not a comfortable feeling at all. Yeah, of course you can use any case on the market, but if you're a no-case person, don't expect any comfort. Notifications mode slider sits in the old place, above the power button. It's easy usable and you can't confuse buttons because it's still textured. Now that's the attention for details I like. So the screen, it's a real rock star. 120Hz refresh rate, HDR, wide choice of color profiles, automatic saturation boost if you wish, automatic color temperature shift, and even that silly mode for enhancing frames per second on any video content. Please never turn it on. The screen is a real king. Colors are amazing and the fast refresh rate is just, I don't know, it's really cool. But there's one thing, actually three things. The first one is automatic brightness. I turned it off after a few days because it just couldn't adjust to my habits that well. And because of that, I couldn't use the maximum brightness because it's unavailable on manual mode. So either you use definitely not perfect automatic brightness or you use a pretty dark screen, even in cloudy sky weather. Second thing is those curved edges. Accidental touches are rare, but I get them, especially with the horizontal holding. And the third thing is the screen defect, I think. If you like to use your phone at night, you might notice this thing in some units. As far as I know, it's not all units, but still. There's some kind of texture on the screen, and it only appears on the lower brightness and darker colors. Also, take a look at the front-facing camera. You see that purple stripe, right? Black traces from the objects are also really noticeable. I thought maybe DC dimming could fix some of that, but that made display even worse. It becomes purple and not evenly lit. I've heard that the OnePlus offered a replacement for those defective units, and if you're living in US or Europe, you're a lucky dude, because here in Russia OnePlus don't sell phones officially, and now I didn't know what to do with my unit. Our salaries barely manage us to get some food on the table, you know, and to fix a broken screen in a really expensive phone, no. So keep that in mind. If you don't have an official service in your country, you're gonna suffer if you face this screen problem. Also, I peeled off the protective film, and in 2 weeks, while the phone's been only in my pocket and on the table, it got so much scratches I didn't even know modern phone screen could become so messy. 2 really big ones and a bunch of small scratches. Somehow Gorilla Glass 5 didn't manage to protect it. So the screen is great, but also kinda not great. Thankfully, I can't say that about performance. It's amazing, and 120Hz gaming is definitely next level for smartphones. Actually, I'd say it's an industry standard in terms of performance, not only because of top processor and insane amount of RAM, but also because of a skin, Oxygen OS. You can also install it on Chinese models pretty easily. If they support your carrier's frequencies, it may save you some real money to get a Chinese model. Here's your features: app cloning, horizon notification lights, off-screen gestures and fast gestures like sound mute when flipping down. Oxygen's got 3 decent themes. Not only there's a light and dark mode switch, but you also can change the shape of your icons. Also, it has settings for notification switcher, amazing. The rest is pretty much looking like a Pixel phone, and that's a good thing. Nothing cringy, no silly icons. Still, if you need features, you have decent amount of them. In my opinion, it's the best Android skin out there, maybe even better than the stock Android. The last OnePlus I bought was the OnePlus 3, and it still works, albeit I gave it to my brother. Why would I mention that? Because these phones are amazing in terms of support. If you'll buy one of these, be sure it will get updates for the next few years, and those updates will actually improve your experience a lot. Not all of Android phones are getting that much care. Let's talk cameras. There's a whole bunch of them. Wide and ultra-wide at 48 megapixels, hybrid 3x telephoto at 8 megapixels, and color filter at 5. Main camera is actually a good one. Sensor has gotten 40% bigger compared to the 70 Pro, and you can clearly see that. Photos are looking like they're from those compact cameras, at least in a good lighting conditions. Bokeh, contrast, saturation, all that glossy style fancy magazine look is here. Shadows tend to go darker than they need to, but overall it's a pretty impressive camera. Even the video looks good, at least in daytime, and the mic is actually great. That's a rare thing. Of course, bigger sensor and fast lens means low depth of field. Lens will blur your background just fine, but in some cases can blur you too. You can see that both in photo and video. Well, now that Samsung feature for changing the aperture on the mobile lenses could be useful, but it's gone. I didn't like 2 things about cameras. First one is the telephoto lens. It didn't manage to achieve comparable to the main or even the wide lens quality. Maybe it's because it's a hybrid zoom, not optical, but I like to zoom a lot, and on this phone I don't want to do that. In good light it's acceptable, but overall, not really. And the second one is front-facing camera. It just looks unnatural, and in dark conditions it's too soft. Definitely weakest chain. Also, it shoots video only in 1080, so not great for blogging either. Camera app has a pro mode, but only for photos. If you want to shoot videos with manual settings, you go to Play Market and buy Filmic Pro. Kind of a bummer. OnePlus 8 Pro has an interesting feature: color filter. It captures some of the infrared rays, but unlike other guys, I managed to see only through vitamin bottle, and I saw through it with my own eyes anyway. But if you turn on Memoji feature on iPhone, you can see all the dots projecting on your face, which is really cool. Overall, camera impressions is it's really close to other flagship cameras now, and through these few weeks software got updated several times, camera quality really changed, so there's no reason to watch month-old camera comparisons now. Maybe the next OnePlus will have even better cameras than everyone else? That would be interesting. What's left? Battery. It was enough for all day of active usage at 120 Hz, and that's quite impressive. Fast warp charge, wireless charge, and reverse wireless charge is also really good. Keep in mind that the fast wireless charge works only with OnePlus dock, which is frustrating. And here's the reasons why I can't switch from my iPhone 11 Pro to OnePlus 8 Pro. First one is the size. I really don't like big phones, and somehow all these small Android phones are worse than big. And not only in terms of screen and battery size, but for example, camera sensor too. That's disappointing. Second one is the screen. It's too scratchy, besides I don't know if the screen will be non-defective next time I'll buy the phone. Which is bad, especially considering I don't have an official service in my country. And the third thing is really bad selfie and telephoto cameras. I don't want a fallback. At least I want the same camera quality I had before, and OnePlus 8 Pro cannot give me that in full amount. Actually, I would want to switch to an Android phone for a certain amount of time. iPhones don't really change that much, and I want some refresh. That's it. Leave a like if the video was helpful to you. We make videos from Slav with love. Stay tuned. Bye.